I thought my boyfriend got home early from work. It wasn't my boyfriend. My boyfriend, who I live with, works as a teacher in a town about 15 minutes away by train. He gets home more or less at the same time every day, give or take an hour or so. I, on the other hand, work from home. In late January of this year, we'd gotten in a pretty big fight about something stupid. I can't even remember what it was about now, but it was one of those fights where we didn't speak to each other, text, call, or anything the whole next day. So this afternoon, I was lying in bed getting work done. It was a Tuesday, and I was pretty sure his last class finished at 1 p.m., meaning he'd surely be home at 2:30. But at around 1 p.m., I heard the front door open and shut. I thought, guess he's home a little early today. It was normal for him to skip his last class every once in a while, so I didn't really think anything of it. In fact, I was mostly mentally preparing for that awkward post-fight, "Hey, how's it going?" conversation. So I continued to lie in bed and do my work and wait for him to come in and change his clothes. The bedroom door was closed and I had an earplug sort of half in, as I usually do when I'm working, but I could hear the heavy footsteps of him walking around the apartment, as he always does. If we hadn't been mid-fight and I wasn't so preoccupied with the awkwardness of it all, I might have noticed it was strange how slow the footsteps were, or how long he spent walking around the living room. But I was caught up in the dramatics of the fight and didn't think about it. I was just lying there, waiting and waiting for him to come in. Finally, the bedroom door slowly opened just a few inches. I turned my head towards the door and prepared to give him a sort of awkward smile. But the door didn't open more than a few inches. I looked and saw that it was a woman's hand with red nail polish on the doorknob. Whoever was there slowly closed the door just as they had opened it without entering the room. I jumped out of bed, ripped out my earplugs, and sort of froze there for a few seconds while my mind was just racing. My first thought, that obviously was not my boyfriend. Then I thought, could that have been his mom? His sister? Maybe the landlady? For some reason, I concluded that it was surely his mom or sister, so I opened the door and walked into the living room. There wasn't anyone there, but the room smelled heavily of women's perfume. Then I came to my senses and realized neither his mom or sister have keys, and they've never come over before. The landlady has also never entered without permission. This was definitely a stranger. I ran back into the bedroom and shut the door, now shaking erratically. There is a balcony connected to the bedroom, so despite the cold January rain, I stood on the balcony and called my boyfriend. He picked up and asked him if his mom or sister might have come over unannounced. He told me, "No, don't move, I'm calling the police." The police were there in minutes and searched the entire apartment. Of course, nobody was there by this point. It was weird though. Nothing was missing from the apartment, despite us keeping a jar full of money right at the entrance. Nothing was even touched. In fact, it seemed like the intruder came straight to the bedroom, saw me on the bed, panicked, and left. Plus, you can't open that big wooden front door without a key. For a few days, my boyfriend and I were convinced it was just the landlady being nosy, and I began to feel better. Nevertheless, we demanded that the landlady change our locks. When she came over to change them with her husband, she made a discovery. There was a square area by the keyhole that had been scratched away with something. My brother saw a ghost as a kid. 2 decades later, I realized what he actually saw. I was about 7 years old, my brother about 10. It was well past our bedtime when our mom woke up off the couch to put us to bed. Our dad worked construction out of town back then, so it was often just us three at the house for weeks at a time. My brother and mom both had a habit of waking up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. I only knew this because I was always a light sleeper, and I just couldn't help flushing with the door wide open. This night, however, my brother stopped on his way to his room and came back towards the bathroom. He said, "I'm gonna try to pee before I go to bed. The past few nights, I've been too afraid to walk to the bathroom. I keep seeing a man standing at the end of the hallway. I don't know if my mom just wrote it off as my brother telling ghost stories to me to try to scare me, or if she was already half asleep and just didn't catch it, but she didn't react at all to my brother's confession. I, on the other hand, was terrified by it. The fear of seeing a ghost like that at the end of the hallway or through the windows is the reason I started running from the stairs to my bedroom when it was dark in the house. Years later, when I was about 18, my mom and I were having a conversation in her car. We were reminiscing about stories when I was younger, and she asked me if I remember the time the cops arrived. This really caught me by surprise because in all the years I lived in that house, we never once called the cops. I asked her what she was talking about, and she looked equally surprised, as if she had just revealed something by accident. Oh, I must have never told you. One night, I woke up hearing noises outside my window, and when I looked, I saw a man staring into my bedroom. She then went on to describe how turning on the lights caused him to take off running, and how she grabbed my dad's pistol before calling the cops. She said she can't remember all the details she gave them when they showed up, but it was a tall male, wearing a striped shirt, jeans, short dark hair, something like that. They said it matched the description of a man they were looking for in the area. It turns out, he was wanted on an ongoing investigation related to a murder charge. Now, I know it sounds so obvious hearing those two stories back to back. It wasn't until a few years ago, in my mid-20s, that I finally pieced together that my brother had unknowingly warned us about a potential murderer who spent multiple nights casing our home.